In the mid-18th century, India stood at a crossroads of history. The once mighty Mughal Empire was crumbling, and new powers were rising from every corner of the subcontinent. The Marathas, Sikhs, Mysoreans, and others fought to carve out their place in this changing landscape. Amid this turmoil, a new and unexpected force began its ascent: the British East India Company. But when exactly did the British period in India begin? Was it in 1740, with the outbreak of the Anglo-French rivalry, or in 1757, when the British secured their first decisive victory at Plassey, or perhaps 1761, after the Third Battle of Panipat, when Indian politics became even more fragmented? Historians have long debated these dates, but what is certain is that this was an era of extraordinary transformation, one that would shape the destiny of India for centuries to come. The British did not rise to power overnight. Their success was the result of a century-long process of expansion and consolidation. Through diplomacy, clever manipulation of local rivalries, and sheer military might, the East India Company gradually tightened its grip over India. They were not above using deceit or exploiting the weaknesses of Indian rulers. What started as a trading company soon became a political power, wielding its influence across vast territories. So what made the British so successful? For one, their weapons and military technology were superior. Muskets and cannons gave them a decisive edge in both range and accuracy. Even when Indian rulers hired European officers and imported weapons, their armies lacked the innovation and coordination that the British excelled at. The English soldiers were disciplined, well-trained, and unlike the irregular mercenary forces of many Indian rulers, they received regular salaries, ensuring loyalty and efficiency. Discipline extended beyond the battlefield. Within the company's administration, officers were chosen for their skills and loyalty, not their caste, birth, or clan ties. In contrast, many Indian kingdoms were burdened by nepotism and favoritism, often overlooking merit. This difference in governance was a key factor in British dominance. Leadership, too, played a vital role. Robert Clive, Warren Hastings, Dalhousie, and others were not just commanders. They were visionaries, backed by a strong cadre of capable second-line officers, like Sir Erkut and Arthur Wellesley. On the Indian side, leaders like Hyder Ali Tipu, Sultan, and Madhuro Scindia displayed great courage but lacked unity. Rivalries among Indian states often led them to side with the British against each other, a division the company was quick to exploit, and behind all this stood the immense financial strength of Britain. The East India Company had the backing of one of the world's most prosperous trading nations. Its profits were not just used to pay dividends to shareholders, but also to fund military campaigns in India. Combined with their naval supremacy, this financial muscle ensured that the British could always replenish their forces and resources, no matter the cost. But nowhere was the British rise to power more visible than in Bengal, the richest province of the Mughal Empire. Bengal, with its fertile lands, thriving textile industry, and bustling ports, was the jewel of the East. Exports of silk, cotton, rice, and saltpeter made it the economic heart of India, and the East India Company had its eyes firmly set on it. By the late 17th century, the English had established factories in places like Hooghly, Patna, and Dhaka. The founding of Calcutta in the 1690s marked the completion of their commercial settlement in Bengal. The Mughal emperor allowed the company to trade freely for a nominal annual payment. But the profits the company reaped far exceeded this token sum. Bengal, under strong leaders like Murshid Kui Khan and Olivadi Khan, had prospered while much of India was ravaged by invasions and internal wars. But by 1756, with Olivadi Khan's death, Bengal was in turmoil. His successor, the young Siraj-ud-Dowlah, inherited a kingdom beset by internal rivals and external threats. Siraj, barely 20 years old, was surrounded by conspirators. His cousin, Shaukat Jang, his aunt, Ghasiti Begum, and his ambitious commander, Mir Jafar, all waiting to undermine him. Adding to his troubles was the growing arrogance of the English company, which had fortified its settlements and granted asylum to political fugitives without the Nawab's permission. The tensions came to a head when Siraj attacked Fort William in Calcutta, forcing the English to surrender. This incident, later exaggerated by the infamous and controversial tale of the Black Hole of Calcutta, set the stage for a confrontation that would change Indian history forever. In 1757, Robert Clive arrived in Bengal with reinforcements from Madras, but rather than face Siraj's 50,000-strong army in a fair fight, Clive plotted a secret conspiracy. Mir Jafar, along with bankers like Jagat, Seth, and traders like Omichand, agreed to betray the Nawab in exchange for power and wealth. Thus, the Battle of Plassey, fought on June 23, 1757, was less a battle and more a pre-decided betrayal. While Siraj's loyal troops fought bravely, the bulk of his army stood idle, waiting for orders from commanders who had already switched sides. Clive's vastly outnumbered force emerged victorious, and Siraj-ud-Dowlah was captured and executed. The victory at Plassey was a turning point. It not only gave the company control over Bengal's immense resources, but also marked the beginning of British political dominance in India. Mir Jafar was installed as a puppet Nawab, but real power lay with the company. Clive's influence grew immensely, and the English now had the wealth to expand their military presence across the subcontinent. The story did not end with Mir Jafar. When his mismanagement and secret dealings with the Dutch angered the British, he was replaced by his son-in-law, Mir Kazim, through the Treaty of 1760. Mir Kazim, unlike his predecessor, was determined to strengthen Bengal and resist company interference. He shifted his capital to Manga, reorganized the administration, and modernized his army, setting the stage for the next chapter of conflict between Bengal and the British.